What if life you're living right now isn't actually yours, but a recycled version of what you survived? And the real problem is you've gotten so good at functioning in it, you don't even question it anymore. I'm your host, Edna White, and this is Keeping It Real on Purpose, where we stop performing, start telling the truth, and turning life's pain into purpose. Today, I'm joined by none other than Anne. I didn't even ask her how to say her last name, but I'm going to take a chance. Peshka,
Yes.
entrepreneur, author, certified professional coach, and speaker. Her memoir, Trauma Recycled, tells the truth about adoption, trauma, and what actually takes to heal, not just talk about it. Anne has spent decades rebuilding her life and now helping others recognize the patterns they've normalized and finally change them. Welcome to the show, Anne.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the identity and the pattern, because I really love that part, because I talk about that a lot with my clients. What's one pattern from your past that followed you into adulthood before you realized it wasn't who you are?
It's a pattern. It's a very visual pattern, actually. It's one of just feeling like you're swept up in a wave and you're tumbling. You don't know which way is up. You don't know which way is down. And you're just trying to catch a breath. And you're just moving through life at like this rapid fire pace, like you're shooting, through the rapids in a river, and you're just like waiting to land wherever you land. And then you just kind of move from that point. So nothing is ever in control. Nothing ever feels deliberate. You just feel like you're a product of, it's very confusing. And it's a very untethered feeling.
Yeah. I could tell. I went through that myself, and I could tell you, it's like you're on autopilot and you're not the driver.
Yeah.
Like.
I think most people have experienced that or still are. I mean, I think it's very common. It's just hard to articulate that that's what's happening.
Yeah, and you're going through the motions, but yet you have feelings about it, but you can't seem to stop it. Almost like, you can't stop what's happening. So it's challenging in that spot.
It is. And especially I think when you're raised in a family where abuse is prevalent, where there's things that are happening that are extremely debilitating, devastating, and your sense of self is so off kilter that you just don't even know. Like there's moments where I can sit there and flash back to like my 6 or 7 year old self and just kind of be there like, wow, like this is just it, and you don't know what's coming at you next. And that's such a very uncomfortable place to be. And that's a very gentle word, obviously. But yeah, it is very great difficulty for people. So how do you move out of that? How do you recognize that, be aware of that, move out of that? That's the question of the day,
Absolutely. It really is. And I could tell you it's not hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. Right. Even just being aware of it, even in that state, you're aware it's happening. Yeah. Where it's going on. But what to do about it, that is the thing. What to do about it.
Right. The powerlessness. Yeah.
Yes,
and so many people, felt or still feel there's nothing I can do to change this. I mean, I still hear this now from people. Yeah. Well, that's just the way things are.
Yeah. Right. And it becomes part of your identity. So, and I think it comes from living everybody else's idea of who you're supposed to be.
Sure.
Versus being yourself.
100%. Those are the labels.
Yeah. Going and doing the things that everybody says to do. Our caretakers even say that to us. Parents say that to us. Oh, you should be this. You better work for your money. All these things, and it may not even be what you want to do, and it's like going against your grain. And I think that's what it's. You're in that like a warp. Like you get this pulling, and you're being pulled into this direction that the rest of you, your soul does not
Right.
really want to go, and your spirit
Yeah.
definitely doesn't want to go there. And it's like you're still your body's still going through that thing, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's really it's like you're going through the stages of grief. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we react when we're in those situations, we
yeah.
react. And often the ways that we react is self-deprecating. So we're
Mm-hmm.
either intentionally harming ourselves with food,
Right,
alcohol, drugs,
right,
words, our words just as damaging. So we just end up in this space of like, well, you know what? This is as bad as it is. I don't deserve better. I don't like
right,
I embedded those patterns in me. Those patterns were so deeply ingrained that my self-worth was
right.
completely dependent on what someone else told me I was.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that was something that, my dad taught me by abusing me. He taught me that my worth was when I was doing something physical or I was allowing
Mm-hmm.
something physical. So that kind of like started, this root of Anne, if you would. And that's just not a very good root.
No,
And then we get to that point where we go, wow, you know what? I mean, this is just the road that I'm on. This is just the hand that I've been dealt. So it's happened to other people and I might as well just deal with it.
go
And
with
like,
the flow.
yeah. And then you recognize, you look back on your relationships and you wonder why. You look at your jobs that you had and you're like, wow, those are all a product of embedded
Mm.
patterns,
Yeah,
but
it
they
is.
don't need to stay.
Right,
That's
right.
how I started understanding that recycling my trauma, and I'd already been doing that without even having the words for it. But
Right.
I was taking some of the worst experiences of my life and I was filtering them into the most powerful parts of me. And
Well,
that's
that's
where I
great.
really feel the magic happened. And I can stand here today and be very grateful for the past that I had because of
Hmm.
that. And that's hard for a lot of people to understand because
Right,
there's people who say, well, why would you choose to be abused? I wouldn't choose to be abused, but obviously, A, I can't change circumstances.
right,
And B,
exactly. Yeah,
look at the gifts I gained from it, which there are
right.
many. It's just you have to do the work. You have
Yeah,
to do the work. And once you
yeah,
do the work, you begin to pull these
right.
pieces out and you see it.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful picture, what you said. It's not that we are we are happy this happened.
Right. Right.
We learned the lessons that it was supposed to bring out in us.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
utilize that information for the betterment of ourselves. So,
Right.
so we're not overeating, so we're not, abusing drugs, so we're not out there, having sex just because. All
Right.
those things, we're actually focusing that energy somewhere else. And
Right.
yes, we've learned those lessons. We've it's like traveling down the road. You travel the same road every day. You
Yeah.
know what's coming up. So that's just the
Yeah.
same as trauma. Sometimes you know what's coming up. You know what's going to happen. So you've learned from it. But what we did is took it a step further and we expanded upon it to grow ourselves. That's really
Right.
what it is. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think
Hmm.
it's important too. Like I look back on my younger self and I think it's important to say, if someone is in this space right now, you're not bad for it. When we turn to drugs and alcohol and we turn to food and we turn to things, what we're doing is we're looking for something to help with the pain.
Yeah.
We're not bad people for that. And if that's the space that we're in today, that's just a space that we're
Mm,
in today. It doesn't
right.
mean that space can't shift or change, but I don't ever want anybody to beat themselves up for where they are because that's the path. That's
Right.
the path that you're on and you're exactly where you need to be. And
Yeah.
that's very, very important as someone's journeying through this is that this is the path that you have to walk,
Right. Right.
you know?
And we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear
No, we
that part.
don't. But I tell
That
you
we
what, it
chose
would
this path.
have,
We chose this path. And the beautiful
yeah,
thing is that we're strong enough to handle it. The path that we're
yes.
strong enough to handle it. And,
Yeah,
yes, we give out, sometimes us humans give up, yeah, we give
yeah,
up. and don't
Right.
take take the next route to do the inner work. Yes, but
Right.
we don't
Right.
want to hear that part. We chose this.
Yeah, no, I know exactly, exactly. I mean, it's difficult to hear. I wish that when I was
Yeah,
in my darkest days, that somebody
yeah,
had said to me, "Hey, you know what? This dark day that you're in today is part of your story. Live it,
yes,
girl." You
yes,
know what I mean? But
yes,
I didn't have that, right? I didn't even have books or podcasts or anything. I was like in the
yeah.
dark ages. So like I had to find help in, the most random of places. Whereas today,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your beautiful show. I mean, what you
Yeah.
do for people, people are able to plug into to you and
Mm-hmm.
hear things that they're really wanting to hear so badly, but they
Yeah.
don't know where to find it. And
Yeah.
I just commend you for that, and I'm
Oh,
really
that's
grateful.
beautiful.
It's really it's just such a beautiful thing that that we can give from where we've been.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. You called it trauma recycled. I know you talked about it a few minutes ago. What does that actually look like in real life?
It really it didn't hit me for a long, very long time. But I'll give you an example. So all the trauma that I experienced, I'm the oldest of 8 children. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
I not only experienced it, I witnessed it. All right. So this is just something
Mm-hmm.
that was the way that things were for me. And I
Right.
developed a lot of tools and a lot of pieces of me from that I didn't
Right.
really understand. One of them is great empathy. Another one is really, I have this deep, deep desire within me that nobody feels uncomfortable. Nobody feels like they don't belong. Those are the things that make me bananas. So if I see somebody that looks like they feel they don't belong, I'm drawn to them. And
Yeah.
that's a gift that was given to me from my trauma. Without my
Wow.
trauma, I don't know that I'd have that strong of a radar. And that's a big deal for me. So I'm really very, very
Yeah.
careful to notice. And it just you have like superpowers when
Mm-hmm.
you go through that level, because you're able to feel and empathize what someone else may be going through. It doesn't mean you feel their pain, but you're able to hold space for them in a different way. There's a
Yeah.
level of patience and a level of understanding. That doesn't mean I let people sit in a pity party, because I don't.
Right.
Pity parties I got no room for that. But I
Mm-hmm.
do see people where they are, and I can love people where they are. And that's been a practice. That's not an easy thing to go through. But, because as you're journeying through the work, you get to a certain part, you look back at others that you love and care about, and you're like, well, why aren't you here next to me? You should be
Right.
here
Right.
next to me.
Right.
But you get to a space where you look back and you go, you know what? I love you where you are. And that's
That's good.
something that, once again, I would have never been able to develop or experience without having gone through what I did. So, trauma
Mm-hmm.
recycled for me was merely the act of taking the bits of magic that were intertwined and threaded in with the horror.
Well,
And
that's
that
good.
it just was so fitting for the
Mm-hmm.
title of my book, because as you move through the stories in my book, you'll just be like, wow, like, I mean, I lived it, right? So I still can someday sit there and go, man, that was just a really incredible ride.
Yeah, that's beautiful. How do
Yeah.
people unknowingly keep choosing the same pain?
How do they unknowingly keep
Yeah. Yeah,
what?
about the trauma recycled. We're still with that. I was still wanted to find that out. Is how do people unknowingly keep choosing the same pain?
I think that I really think it's habitual. I mean, I did it.
Okay. Okay.
I did it. I did it too. I think that it's really, until you're able to, if I'm sitting and I'm doing a workshop and I'm talking to people about, all right, so
Hmm.
we've had all this stuff happen to us. What do we do? Because that's always the question. What do I do? How
Right.
do I get out of it? The very first thing I believe, this is what really worked for me, is I had to sit down, and I'm a big pen and paper person, and I had to go, where am I right now? And I had to get raw with it, right? And the raw was like, well, I'm going from man to man to man. I'm drinking like a fish. I'm blacking out. I don't want to live. I don't want to breathe. I'm a mother. How can I do this to my kids? So I had to be raw. Where am I?
Yeah.
And then the next part, how did I get here? And
Yeah.
that does not mean well, my father abused me. That's how I got here. Oh, no, 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 no. That's not a
Mm-hmm.
part of how did I get here.
Right.
I chose to
Right.
drink. I chose, and those are really very difficult. So until I did that, I was repeating the patterns. I was repeating the patterns. It doesn't mean that the patterns stopped that day. This was a journey, right? But I was aware, and then I
Yeah.
became aware of the patterns, and I became aware I controlled the dials, nobody
Yeah.
else.
That's good. I
Yeah.
like that. Well, that's good. That's good. So, Anne, let's go deeper here about the truth people avoid, and you can share where you need to. Where do you see people hiding behind? I've done the work, but their life still reflects the same pattern.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it depends. If they're coming to me and they're asking, hey, I mean, I've done all the work, but I'm still having such great difficulty. I mean, my first question is, have you really? That's
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then they'll start to
Yes.
flounder. It's kind of they're in that wave, but they're kind of got their head up. They got their little buoy next to them, and they're kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, I can't really swim well, but I'm above water. And that's a beautiful
Right.
place to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that's amazing. How does
Yeah.
this
That's
space
good.
feel for you? How do you feel? And I just
Yeah.
ask the questions. And then they'll
Yeah.
go, well, I'm really not feeling. And then you just dive into more questions. So what does
Mm-hmm.
it feel like? And most importantly, where do you feel it in your body?
Yeah.
And the reason I ask people that, I'm a core energy coach, right? I studied core energy, and so
Mm-hmm.
you follow the energy, you
Mm-hmm.
follow where someone is leading you because they have all the answers. And if you were to say to somebody, you are so incredibly magical that you have every answer that you could ever ask a question of, you already know.
Mm-hmm.
They would
Yeah.
blow them away. They'd be like, you're just
Yeah.
stark raving crazy. But if you really stop and think about it, right?
Yeah.
When you control that dial and you know that you're doing the work and you're doing all these things, yet your job is miserable, you're in an unhappy marriage and you're not living the life that you want to, and you're on the treadmill
Mm-hmm.
to hell and you just don't know how to turn that off, you know that something is not adjusted right on the
Yeah.
dial. So what is it?
Right.
And I would just encourage people, pen and paper, get that pen and
Oh,
paper.
yeah.
Where am I now? How did I get here?
Yeah.
Where do I want to be?
That's true. Yeah, yeah, just get that pen and paper,
Yeah.
That's so good, real coaches like you and I, we ask them the questions they need to ask themselves or give them the questions they need to ask themselves. And
Right.
that puts them on blast. We don't
Right.
we don't get people to stick around because we don't play.
Right. Exactly. I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah, we don't play with them. We don't play with them. We can give it to them,
No.
and that's how we doctored ourselves. We coached ourselves through
Yes.
this. Yes, we went through therapy, yeah, all of that, but it takes you now to apply that everything
Yes.
that you've learned, everything.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that because I think that it's easy. And I recall doing this myself. I would go to therapy and I'd be like, all right, I'm doing the things every Wednesday, 9 a.m. I'm going to therapy. Well, after a while, I realized I was going to a bitch session at 9 a.m. I wasn't getting therapy at all. And that's
Yes,
when I started getting really
absolutely.
good at interviewing therapists. If you're going to ask
Yes,
me to rehash the fight I had with my boyfriend, you are not the therapist for me. That's not therapy. Rehashing that is not therapy.
yes, got it. Yes,
So
absolutely.
I think it's really
Right.
important for people to really understand what doing the work really is. And there's, therapists are amazing.
Right.
I reached out when I wrote my book, I went and found a good
Mhm.
therapist because I knew I needed support.
Right.
So
Right.
that never
Yeah.
ends,
Yeah, never ends. That never ends. It's always here. Yeah, yeah. And I spoke to someone. She said to me she was healed from it. I said, let me just tell you something.
Yes.
Don't pronounce that. That's like that's finished. I said a lot of what we've been traumatized with is not very linear.
Yeah.
It's very stacked.
Yeah. You just gave me goosebumps. I have goosebumps over that. Yeah, I'm glad
It's
that you
very
said that
stacked.
because you don't get
So
fixed. I mean, we're human.
healing is the proper word. You're never healed. You are
Right.
healing because
Yeah.
every day we change, right? So
Totally.
we may something that we may have thought we healed from in our 30s had another piece that went along to it when we got to our 40s.
Oh my God. Absolutely. You know, and it's like even COVID was a traumatic experience, right? People
Yes.
are still healing
Yes.
from
Yes.
COVID. And COVID, you know, and I don't mean just from a physical sense, but
Yeah.
the lack of belonging, the isolation, there's a lot of traumatic experience in that. And I think
Hmm.
that's a journey, right? You have to
Yes,
just
absolutely.
always, but it's the most amazing journey ever.
That's right. That's right. And it's always developing and expanding.
Yes.
That's what I really, really love about life when you allow the awareness and when you have that awareness and then adapt that consciousness attached to it.
Mm,
Oh my gosh.
so
It's
good.
like it's so good. It's like people can't understand it like when if they're not there, but I'm like it's so good to wake up with downloads, to get the
Yeah.
downloads you need to kind of like wake yourself up
Right,
to do this.
right. It is. It's a
Do
magic that
that.
you could never explain to anybody. I would have never believed it when I was in my 20s, 30s, and even most of my 40s. Would have never believed it.
Yeah. Wouldn't that me neither. Me neither. Okay. Oh, that's really good stuff. Where do you see people where do you see people lying about themselves in their comfortable dysfunction?
You know, I think that Instagram and social media, Facebook, I mean, right there, boom, there it is. I think that that has really been incredibly damaging. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
necessary tool for
Right.
most of us.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that when we can't be our authentic self, that just beats us down. And now we begin to go under that wave again because there's that
Right.
little child inside of us. And I think the magic is in that, right? If you can
Hmm.
sit, and
Absolutely.
whether you're able to meditate or not, I would have throat punched somebody if they told me to meditate when I was at the beginning of my journey. I would have been like, you don't know me. I can't meditate, because that's where I was, right? But
Yeah. Right.
if you can
Right.
sit with that
Hmm.
5-year-old child
Yep.
inside of you and go, who are you? That kid would be like, bam, I'm this, I'm that. But I'm
Okay.
afraid to show the world because the world might think I'm stupid. The world might think I
Okay.
don't look right. The world might judge me. And I think that that's what we do to ourselves, is that we put on this persona that we feel is acceptable. This is what people expect me to look like, talk like,
Hmm.
drive like, live like, all of the
Hmm.
things that I do. And as soon as we feel like those are not accepted by other people, we begin to beat the heck out of ourselves.
Oh, that's
And
good.
that's a damaging.
Yeah.
It's so sad. Like that just really, that's very painful. That's very
Hmm. Well, girl, you are talking my language. What did I just tell you? Audience, you guys know me, and is she saying what I've been saying? Oh my goodness, I need to high five you over there and
painful.
over
Big hug.
there, okay?
I love it.
Because that is what I'm talking about. Is all of that? It's all of that. Now, listen. How do you separate who you really are from who you had to become to survive? How do you do that?
I didn't know who I really was. So the separation was there already. I really didn't know
Oh,
who
that's
I
good.
was. I didn't know. I mean, the only thing that I did know was that I needed to be able to serve others because that's what gave me self validation. So when I began
Mm,
this journey, that was another part of the recycling trauma. I completely, absolutely fell in love with customer service. That was 1,000% my jam. And the reason was I was able to do things that would make people smile. This
yeah,
was letting me know you
yeah,
belong, you
yeah,
matter. Those were the things I needed. I didn't have that as a
yeah.
child. I
Me
did not
neither.
belong. I was adopted,
Yeah,
right? So you don't
yeah.
belong.
Mm-mm.
I also really didn't feel like I was wanted or that I was making a
Mhm.
difference. I was a tool. And so I was a limo driver. I became a
Yeah,
limo driver. And that
right.
was such an incredible feeling for me because now I made a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that that is really that is how I became to know who I was. That deep down under that need, I don't have that need anymore. I mean, I still serve people. I will always love to serve people, and I love connection. I love all people. All people are equal to me. But I didn't really know who Anne was. And now I can sit and I can literally like get very emotional when I look at that 5-year-old little girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because she didn't get to be a 5-year-old little girl. Well, she can now at 60. And I don't care who's looking.
I want you to stop it right now. Audience, is she me or what?
So fun.
I taught the 5-year-old child because that's when I really knew myself. That's when I knew myself, And at 5, that's when I knew myself. I knew who I was. And when I finally shed all those masks, the coding, the people pleasing, and I love how you put it, customer service.
Yeah. Oh man,
because
my heart.
You hear our clients, right? Our clients say, "I want to serve everybody," but that's people pleasing saying that.
Right.
It's like it's not. Yes, we're here to serve, but we're not here to please them.
Right.
We're supposed to serve. So serving and pleasing are two different things. Serving is giving what they may not even need, but they gotta hear it.
For sure.
And I love that. I think I'm changing people pleasing to customer service.
Oh yeah,
that's I am. It's so good. It's the truth, though. It's what we do, And I know you hear it too. Like I hear all of my clients. They say, "I just want to serve someone. I just want to serve someone." And I'm saying, well, and ask the question: did you get attention when you were younger?
Yes. Right.
And that's when it goes bing, 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 bing. So all that you're doing, like they'll take their business and give it all away. Or like I joined the ministry because I felt that's where I was going to do the most. And I gave all of me away. I literally gave all of me away and there was nothing left.
Right.
To the point that I was numb, walking around like a zombie because I had no idea what I was doing. I had given it all away. And I decided, hey, once that started happening, I would, like you said, I knew who I was, but I didn't know how to get back.
Right.
So many things I didn't know how to get back there.
Yeah.
And that is so true. Is if we just communicate with that 5-year-old, that 5-year-old tells the truth. Don't care if you get mad. Don't care if you say no. And probably even fall out when you say no. It doesn't matter. That 5-year-old knows exactly what he or she wants. Period.
Got it. Yeah.
Period. Yeah. There's no wishy-washy around it. It's I want it and I want it now.
Yep. Exactly. Such genuine, just an authentic way to be.
Yes. So let me ask you. So if someone is listening right now, I know you audience are listening, and they're recognizing themselves like I just did. What's the first honest step they can take to stop repeating these things?
Being aware, right? So really sitting there, and I'll never stop stressing pen and paper more. And I know that there's people are like, "Oh, I just don't write." Well, you know what? Then you just don't do the work because you can't do the work without writing. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
And are there people that have are not able to physically write? Yes, absolutely. So in that case, you find some other alternative. But the point is to get it out of your body in a physical manner. And that is the direction of the pen and the paper. So the awareness, and I did this, man, I was completely repeating the same thing over and over, expecting different results, which was insanity, right? Why am I still having the same relationships and they all suck? Well, you know what? It's not the relationships, it's me.
It's me.
And I recognize this in people today that will go, "Oh, you just don't have any idea what it's like to live with a narcissist." And that just completely freaks me out because I just want to ask them, so what part of you attracted a person like that?
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So why do you think that you ended up with somebody that is that way? There's awareness. What is it? And it's not, I'm not saying fault or blame. It's not fault or blame. It's
absolutely
merely
not.
Where am I right
Yeah.
now? And that is not just literally in the sense of your geographic location, but
Yeah.
right now I'm feeling undervalued. Right now I'm feeling like I hate my job. Right now
Yeah.
I'm feeling like my family doesn't respect or love me.
Mhm.
That's the awareness. That's the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So Ian, tell us where my audience can reach you, even though it's going to be in the description under the video. Please tell them out of your mouth where you're going to be and what you're up to in this
Oh,
next
thank
coming
you.
month.
Thank you so much. So, my website has everything. AnnePeshka.com is my website. I've got a YouTube channel. I just started moving my podcast over to Spotify as well. My book is on Amazon. It's on Audible. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. And the name of my podcast is Trauma Recycled Conversations. And it's there that I'm bringing people on that talk about the hard stuff, talk about the difficult stuff and things that help others feel connected. And that's the entire reason I wrote my book, is that I remember feeling I didn't belong and my story sucked. And I was like really not worthy of anything. And I just really want to just extend that to people, that your story does matter and it's amazing. Your story is amazing. You know what?
Right.
Embrace it and live it.
Exactly. That's right. Well, we want to thank you today, and for being here, because you have brought some enlightenment to me as well as my audience. And audience, here's the truth. You don't break patterns by understanding them. You break them by making different decisions. And most people avoid that part. You heard the story. Now let's talk about what to do with it. If this conversation hit you, don't sit in awareness and call it growth. Do something with it. This is what our guest said today. Book a session with her, book a session with me. Let's identify the pattern and shift it intentionally. And if you're ready for more conversations like this, make sure you subscribe and like and share Keeping It Real on Purpose. Thank you so much. And this is your host, Edna White, and my esteemed guest. We're saying goodbye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.